Hello and welcome to the April 2021 rescheduled slideshow with Sam Bolte. Due to some technical difficulties, which I've now resolved with my neighbor, the fiber line actually got cut at my house last Sunday, which interrupted our planned live show. Instead, we are here on Friday, April 23rd, and we are recording a show which is going to play on Sunday, April 25th. So just to give everyone a little bit of the time frame that we're sitting here doing this project. Now, with me today, I have Mr. Sam Bolte of Hiawatha. Say hi to everybody, Sam.
Hello. Hello again, for whoever was briefly watching this stream, which was like for 5 minutes, but hello again.
Yes, everyone that saw the first 3 slides on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it was, 3. Yep.
All right, Sam, so tell us a little bit about what we're going to be seeing today.
First, little more than half is going to be CN in Eastern Iowa from a couple shots on the Waterloo, and then mostly the Dubuque Sub, and then the CR line. And
all right.
And then after that, it's going to be miscellaneous stuff from Eastern Iowa, like Union Pacific, Iowa Northern, stuff like that, pretty much.
Yeah. Sounds like a good picture of modern railroading in Eastern Iowa.
Okay, and the first train we've got would be an L571, just west of the New Hartford siding, as you can see in the background. And they are coming off the siding after just being overtaken by westbound ethanol, which unfortunately I did not shoot. But this would be milepost 294 of the Waterloo Sub. And this obviously had a Blue Devil leader, which is the reason I went out. And it was a pretty nice shot here. And I've never shot here before.
Yeah, you're sure we're not at milepost 274, right?
No, yeah, not like last time. No, I was not. Okay, and now this one is westbound Iowa Northern north job, or I guess westbound on the CN and then northbound on the Iowa Northern trackage. And this would be a June 2020 shot. I believe it was in June. But yeah, this would be, actually, I'm sorry, this probably is not a north job. This would be a Butler job, probably, because it was only 2 locomotives and a fairly short train. So it was more than likely a Butler turn or whatever you want to call it. But yeah.
Yeah, this is what's infamously known as Merlin's Curve up there in Cedar Falls.
Oh yeah, Merlin, he shot many trains here.
Yes,
and he showed me his videos for hours on it. I love it when he does that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see the Cedar City Creamery in the background. That window in the background on the side of Cedar City is actually where the webcam is for Cedar Falls Junction webcam. So if anybody wants to go online and check that out, that's where it's being shot from.
That I actually didn't even notice that. That's pretty funny. Wow. Huh. Okay. And here we have the famous shot where it stopped last time, but this time we have got 338 here, sitting on milepost 274. And they are still making their last couple cuts here before they head east. And after this, I would not shoot this again on camera, but yeah, we just shot it here, and then we went east to get them meeting a westbound grain train. And unfortunately, it caught me off guard at Jessup, and I only decided to shoot video, which, you know, it is what it is. But I did not shoot it again on camera, or I guess picture camera, that is.
All right.
Yeah. Yep.
That NS leader does look pretty sharp.
Yeah, that was actually a cleaner one, honestly. It was. Okay, and then this one, this would be a 338 from May of last year, and it actually has a -8 leader, and this would be a former Santa Fe -8.
Okay.
And funny enough, the whole lash-up was all older locomotives from the, early part of the 21st century, the -9, and then those 2 EMDs are much older, former Illinois Centrals, I believe, if I can remember correctly. But unfortunately, both repainted at this point. But yeah, this is at Hilltop.
Yeah, you can actually see the signal for Hilltop there, and just peeking over the top of those hoppers.
Yeah. And this is like one of my only shots at Hilltop, so, it is what it is. But yeah, it's an all right shot. Okay. And then this is probably my favorite catch of this year so far. A westbound ballast train with an IC 70 leading, which is incredibly hard to come across these days out in Iowa. And I still can't believe it actually came out here leading, honestly. But yeah, this is pretty much the same location, except probably about a couple hundred feet east on the other side of the road.
And looking the opposite direction, yes.
Oh, yeah, facing east. This will be a westbound.
And I can hear the Imperial March playing in the background as this comes through the Hog's Back. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with some railroad humor here. This is what we're here for, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and then we're probably about maybe a quarter of a mile east of the previous shot. You can see the hog back in the background, and this would be a 338 in May of last year again. And this one had a GEVO leading and then a GEVO mid DPU, and then two Jeeps, as you can see in the background, both GTs, and they were working hard, as you can see from the smoke. That is not the GEVO working.
Right.
Those are pure EMD sound. It was something to. It was really good.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Yeah. Yeah. And then this would be just east of Raymond. Actually, if I look at my notes, this would be Pilot Grove Road, just east of Raymond. And this is an M-2 leading a standard cab-8, and I was not expecting this at all. So this was a treat, that's for sure. Yeah, they were grueling here, or they were chugging along, I should say.
Yeah, working pretty hard upgrade through.
Yeah,
there. Yep.
Yeah. They had a long train for more than 50 cars it was. I can't exactly remember, but it was a long train that day.
Do you remember? Was there a DP in this thing also?
I don't think so, actually. They were going like 10 here, very slow.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they were short on power or whatnot, but it was only the two. Okay, and then this would be the same location except facing east. This would be a westbound ethanol. This would be a U705, and it had a CSX SD40-2 second out, but it was dead in tow. It was not working whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that GEVO was working. They were working. Okay, and then this here, I some of my shots I was not happy with, and a friend of mine wanted me to show off a few of his shots, but he did not want to be named. So this here would be Nesbitt Road, about a mile east of the previous shot, and this would be a 338. And he wanted to show this shot off because of the eagle, which this is probably one of my favorite shots of his.
Yeah, but catching the bald eagle that's an amazing catch.
I'm still kind of jealous about it. And also, something to note here is the CN logo is not present on this locomotive, which I find weird. But
I noticed that too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a wreck engine or something. I really don't know. But yeah, that's the only theory I have on that.
Yeah, some kind of a rebuild or a repaint.
Maybe. Yeah, but I'm not sure.
They also don't have their ditch lights on.
Yeah, he told me that they stopped like 4 times that day, and he just went home after Jessup. He pretty much gave up.
Huh.
So they had a fun time that day, apparently. Oh, okay. And then this is also my friend's shot of that 338 that we caught in Jessup. And we were talking too much, pretty much, in the car. And it caught me off guard coming into town, and I only shot video. And he actually got the shot of the meeting, which I really liked this shot. So, yeah, I decided to include it. And, yeah, this is the shot I was aiming for, but I didn't get it.
So, are they stopped here, swapping crews? There's a Dubuque crew and a Waterloo crew here, switching places?
No, 338 they were doing track speed.
Oh, okay.
Here. Oh, yeah, they were flying, unfortunately for me.
It does cut down on reaction time when they're going through there at 50.
Yes, yeah, that was a fun day. Okay, and now we're back to one of my shots, and this is the first time I chased 338 with my picture camera back in early June of 2019, I believe. And this they were doing track speed here too, and they were jumping around, as you can see from the rails. They were jumping.
Yeah.
But yeah, this would be just east of the Jessup sighting on the east end. Deacon Road.
Yeah.
East of Jessup.
You're looking at the signals for the east end of Jessup right here.
Correct. Yes.
Yep.
And then this is the same location, but on the north end of the tracks. And this is the only shot I have on the north end. And this by far was the shortest 338 I've ever seen. I believe they were 32 cars this day. Just wow. 32. Yeah, that was a hard chase.
I'm surprised they even bothered with 2 engines on it, quite frankly.
I am too, but my guess is this is probably off a grain train or something, and it was just going back east. But I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this would be about 5 miles east of the previous shot, 4 or 5 miles. And did I put that wrong? This would be Harrison Avenue with that same 238 from earlier with the M-2 liter. And they fly through here. Some people call this spot repeater because there's like a little box there and it has repeater on it, but I don't know. I don't know what that really means, but that's what some people call it, repeater.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite shots on. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying this is probably one of my favorite shots on the line. It's a really nice hogback.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm surprised with is this, you get out here and along the IC, the former IC, there's all kinds of telegraph poles still out here that have not ever been taken down and haven't even fallen down, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to point that out at some point, but there's a lot of code lines still up, and it's really nice. I like shooting them in my shots, framing them, I guess, more like
yes.
Yeah. Okay, and now we are just west of Winthrop, Iowa, and this would be October of last year, and the New York Central Heritage Unit led an ethanol train, and I decided to go for it. And I am sitting in the field here, just west of Winthrop, and at the, I guess, sort of Winthrop curves, as I call it. This would be can't think of it, like 250, something like that. I can't think exactly. Around milepost 250. And yeah, this is one of my favorite locations of the line. Probably my favorite.
Getting a train in these reverse curves by Winthrop is, you can get just about the whole train in there if it's short enough. You definitely can.
Yes. And some ethanols are fairly short. So if you got lucky, you could.
Mm-hmm. I think that New York Central unit made it all the way out to Fort Dodge, maybe even further west than that.
This was an Iowa Northern bound U705, I believe. So I'm not sure what they did after this, but it might have. It might have gotten put on 70 or 571 the next day. But I'm just not sure. Okay, and we are pretty much at the same location, except on the other side of the road, and this would be the cover shot train on YouTube. This would be that X337, and this is a little bit after shooting it at the Beth Bridge, and we just barely made this, but yeah, this is also at the Winthrop curves.
You have an unpainted heritage unit here. This is an ex-CNW leader.
Yes, it is, and this is the last time I saw one of these leading in Iowa. I think I can't really remember any others. Okay, and now I'm back in the field, except shooting, or I guess viewing the whole train with the hogback and the curve. And this is again the IC leading ballast, or IC leading the ballast train, and this was the ID was 0490 on this.
Yep.
Yep.
This guy is just what, 2 weeks ago that he came through. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, exactly 2 weeks ago, 2 Fridays ago. Correct. Yep. Okay, and now we are like 1,000 feet east of the previous shots, and this would be a 338 going east, and this would be a 75I leader, or 70I. I'm sorry about that. With 2 NSs, and then that would be, I believe, an Illinois Central painted or repainted Jeep, probably going to Dubuque, most likely.
Yes, on the rear of the consist.
Yeah, dead in tow that day. This was in 2019, but I couldn't find the date. Okay. This, again, would be one of my friend's shots. And this is the Buffalo Creek Bridge just east of Winthrop. And surprisingly, it's still a wooden structure. And it still looks like this today. But I've yet to get an opportunity to shoot it again. But this is a neat bridge. It's probably, I would guess this is still the largest wooden bridge intact in Iowa on this line. But I'm not sure.
I don't know. It is a pretty big structure, and I'm sure it'll be replaced at some point, but it's one of these get your pictures while you can.
Oh, yeah, definitely, I would say. Okay. And now we are at Beth, which is what they called the siding here, which you can see on the left, the old roadbed at least. They took out the siding in about mid-2018, if I can remember correctly, for whatever reason. And that would, yes. And the siding was the original right-of-way. And then at some point they made the right-handed main, and it's a much easier grade for the trains. So that they made that the main line. But yeah, this is at Beth. And this is,
if you look over there, you can see it's just about the height of the locomotive is the amount that they reduced the grade by realigning that.
Oh yeah, it's impressive what they did here. But this would be a 338 in April of last year, I believe.
And this brings up another great point too. When you're out here along the CN Dubuque sub, there are a number of locations where you can get out here and you can just about capture an entire train with your line of sight. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons I really like shooting this line, honestly. It's a really scenic line. I don't know, I really like it. Okay, and now here is the cover shoot for the YouTube thumbnail, and this would be that X337 in June of 2019, and this is of course facing east. And you can just about see all the way to Masonville and east of there. Like that, it's a pretty straight shot east from here.
That elevator on top of the next hill is Masonville, yes.
Yes, that'd be correct. And it's really cool seeing westbounds going up and down, and then it comes right by you. Okay, and now we're at the same location. And I wanted to include this shot because it just makes me sad. I don't know. The door is open and then the light is out. My brother and I just decided, hey, there's a westbound coming. Let's go get it. And we came here and yep, this is what happened. But what can you do, I guess?
Yep.
Okay. And now we are at Masonville now. And this would be a U704, April 5th of last year. And you can see that B coal trailing without PTC. So it unfortunately could not lead.
So at Masonville, there's actually still a concrete foundation where the depot used to stand there in town.
Really?
Yeah.
And there also used to be an old wooden silo there. And I don't know when they took it out, but it had to have been the mid to late 90s.
Yeah, you can see some older shots from the CC&P that have that still in place. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is probably the late 90s when they took that out. Okay, and now we are looking east about 3 miles west of Manchester, and this would be the 23rd Avenue Bridge. And this would be, of course, that same ballast train. You'll see it again at least a couple times going east.
It was a popular place to be, chasing that IC engine that day.
Yes, it was. That was a really fun day for me. And then here we are at Manchester, and they are meeting 338 here. This was the only train they had to meet the whole day. And 338 was doing track speed past them. They were flying through.
Yep. Ballast train is in the siding on the north side of the track, and then the conductor is over there on the south side by the south siding. Yep.
Yeah, correct. And if you look closely, you can see the engineer on 338 waving his hand out, which I like. Yep.
Friendly bunch that day.
Yeah. Okay. Now this would be at the Y in Manchester. This would be an older looking Jeep here. It's pretty ratty looking with its stripes, but this would be April of last year, and this was the power for what I can assume would be a geometry train of sorts. And they had just ran the Cedar Rapids Sub, and they were wanting the train to go back west to Waterloo for the evening.
Okay.
Yeah. And funny enough, they wide like a good 5 times. I have no idea what they were doing, but they wide the train like 5 times. It might have just been like a, fresh crew. I really don't know. Maybe they didn't know the area, but I couldn't figure out what they were doing.
Is this one of these wide cab Jeep 40s or Jeep 38s that the CN has?
Yes, this is actually a GP38 wide cab, which are fairly rare nowadays.
Yeah.
So that was a nice catch.
Yep, so this is the east leg of the Manchester Y that we're looking at right here.
Yes, correct. Okay, and now here's the IC again, and this would be Delaware. This would be the Delaware shot, and this is probably my best shot at Delaware. I don't have many shots here, but this is probably my favorite out of them all.
There's no lumber loaded or spotted there today to unload.
No, there's not. And if you look to the bottom right, that would be an old freight platform. If I'm correct, I believe that is an old freight platform from the old IC days.
So just a suggestion, but the next time that you're here, if you stand about 50 yards further to the north off of this bridge, you can actually catch the train coming down the reverse curve from Earlville. You can see it back there through the trees just a little bit.
Yeah, I've tried. I've never tried to shoot it, but I have seen it before. Okay, and now, believe it or not, this would be an ethanol train, but they had just finished dropping off their cars at the Big River ethanol plant there in Dyersville, and this would, I'm guessing, they combined the local at Dubuque with the ethanol. That's the only explanation I have for all the power. But this would be about a mile east of Earlville, shooting from a field.
Yep, you're on the fill there between Earlville and Dyersville.
Yes, and I was under the assumption on this day that Blue Devil was leading second out, but unfortunately it wasn't. That's the only reason I went up. But it's not often that you get 2 Blue Devils in a lash up, so I'll take it. Okay, and I believe this is going to be the last shot of my friends, because I don't have hardly any shots at Dyersville, or I guess downtown Dyersville. And this would be a westbound grain train. Okay. And it's getting to be last light here. And you can see, I really like this shot, but I've only shot an eastbound here once, and it didn't really turn out. So I decided to use his. And I did not get the ID on this one. He didn't get it either. So
yeah, it's a tough spot, tough angle here for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and now we're back to my shots, and this would be a 338 last year, and as you can see, it's an old Illinois Central SD70, which I don't know why this guy came out here, because Chicago crews really like them running locals nowadays, and I still don't know how this guy really got out here, but this was a fun chase.
Yeah. So we're going uphill away from Dyersville to the east here, I believe.
Yes, at the S curve, and they usually go pretty slow through here. They're usually screaming through here, not at notch 8, which is what they were doing here.
Yeah, it's a pretty good grade to get from Dyersville up to Farley.
Uh-huh. Okay, now we make a pretty good jump east to just east of Epworth, and this is about a mile and a half west of the Piosta siding, and this is a really neat shot of one bridge that
Hang
you
on a
can
second.
get.
How did you pronounce that?
Epworth, is that not it?
No, you said Piosta.
Oh my god.
It's definitely
did.
Piasta.
That's the second time I made that mistake. Piasta.
Yes.
There you go.
With a short O. There you go.
Yes, excuse me. It's about a mile and a half west of Piasta here at Epworth. And this would be, what road is this? I believe I wrote it down. No, I didn't. Okay. But this, just take my word for it. It's the road.
I know where you're at. You can see Old Highway 20 there in the background.
Yes, you can. Yes. I'm just east of the Epworth town limit, I guess you could say. But yeah, this would be 338. And now this is the first train I actually caught of 2021. Nice KCS leader here, which, trying to think. There's something interesting about this train. Oh yeah. As you can see up front, it's all frosted over because this is one of the foggiest days of the year, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, we couldn't see probably like 100 feet in front of us. But yeah, this was a neat shot coming out of the fog here at Piasta.
Yes.
The Piasta Bridge.
The west end of Piasta. Yep.
Yes, correct.
You got a Tier 4 leader there, it looks like, too, with that steepled radiator set on the back.
Yeah. Yes, I did. In fact, I believe this is the first Tier 4 that they purchased, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right.
Yeah, the 5,000, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Perhaps a harbinger as well of things to come.
Maybe.
Never know.
Yeah. Okay, we are still here at Piasta looking west. This would be a 338 at almost last light. They took their time this day because they were a 200 car train, and it only had Union Pacific power, 2 motors in the front and then the mid DPU, and they were going about 30 the whole time, I would say.
Yeah.
It was one of the longer trains I've seen or 338s, I should say.
For being backlit, the reflectivity off of the ties and the rail and the top of those hoppers, it really does make a nice shot.
Yeah, that's what I was aiming for, and it worked out pretty good. And this is the same night, and of course, the Dubuque local 565 was waiting for 338 in the siding, and interestingly enough, as you can see, it's the one Jeep. And the reasoning for that is there was a GT colored Jeep that was supposed to be on this train, but it died in Dubuque, so they could only take this guy, and I don't know if they took their full train or just some of the cut, but yeah, they can only take this guy, and he was facing east, so it was a long hood forward affair this day.
Yes.
And this would be March 20th of this year. And now I'm just down probably a couple hundred feet east of the bridge, as you can see. And this would be a U710. Yes, U710 out of Arthur, Iowa. This was June of last year.
Yeah, so the bridge that you took the previous 2 shots from, that's what's overhead of the train right here.
Correct. And this train had a Blue Devil leader. That's the only reason I went out for it.
Yep.
Okay. And now this is near Asbury?
Yes.
Yes. This is near Asbury. I'm trying my best to describe the location. I'm shooting off of... Where is this road?
It's a very popular place without me giving it away. But these people have a
Yeah,
very well photographed farm, and they may not even know it.
yeah, they do, but I actually seriously can't think of the road name. So you just have to find it on Google Maps, I suppose.
But yes,
yeah,
it's on the big curve coming downhill into Dubuque near Asbury.
Yes. Yes, correct. And this is the same location, obviously, but I'm about a few hundred feet east of there in a little pull-off, a farmer's pull-off. And this would be an 100 sticker Jevo,
Yep.
which are, in my opinion, they're not really that interesting, but they're still, I guess, good to catch. I really don't know.
It's something out of the ordinary. That's all you can ask for some days.
Yeah, pretty much.
Same farm again in the background, summer instead of winter.
Correct. Or this was, I believe, late April last year.
Yeah.
Yep, so the buds were just coming in. And then, of course, here's the Illinois Central again. And this would be Asbury shooting off the, what even is this?
There's a highway overpass that he's coming up to right here.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't write it down in my notes. I thought I did. No, I didn't. Okay, but no, this is...
Did you have to stick your lens through the chain link fence to get this photo?
I did. I did, yes. Okay, and I believe this is the last time I'm showing off this train. And this would be going over the Catfish Creek Bridge off the Rockdale Road Viaduct, just west of the Highway 61 Viaduct, which is about a quarter of a mile east that you cannot see. But yeah, this is the Catfish Creek Bridge.
Yep. The CP crosses this bridge on an overhead bridge way down closer to the river, where it actually dumps into the Mississippi also.
Oh. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
just
I've never
past
shot
Wood.
there. Yep. And now this would be the Highway 61 overpass, just east of the Catfish Creek overpass, or I guess Catfish Creek Bridge. This is a U-705 pulling out of the valley, and this would be January of last year.
Yep.
With that nice -8 liter.
Just beginning his trip westward out of Dubuque.
Correct. And this would be the same location, except facing west with that same KCS, and they've just come down down the valley, I should say, and they're about a couple miles from their crew change point at the yard office in Dubuque.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm standing under the Highway 61 bridge there. And now this would be that GT Jeep that died earlier in the day, and they decided just to park it there in the yard. But, it was shootable, so I got this shot of it. Nothing too special, but there it is. And if you can see, there's a faded Operation Lifesaver emblem on the side, which is pretty neat. This would be a former Rock Island Jeep.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. Okay, this is pretty much the same location, except probably a few hundred feet north, facing the Hotel Julian. And this would be a 586 working the yard for possibly 338 or whatnot. But this would be the last day of the year last year.
Yep. Switching in the CN Dubuque yard.
Yes. Okay, and now this is also March 20th of this year, and this is before the Jeep died, and we got them working the bakery in the morning, which I'd only seen driving on the road over, or I guess on Highway 20 in the background, as you can see. That's the only time I've ever seen them working there, and I had always missed them, which had always frustrated me. But yeah, I finally got it on this day, and it was very worth the trip.
Yeah, I don't know how often they actually switch that bakery, but it doesn't seem like it's a regular move, and certainly not a regular daylight move.
I believe it's actually a normal daylight run, but they probably do it a couple times a week, honestly, but I'm not sure. It might be actually every day. I don't know. I guess it just depends on the customer.
It's interesting too. Look at that GT Jeep. It's got two different styles of number boards on it.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice that. Huh. I don't know what's up with that, but you know. Okay, and then this is kind of an earlier shot for me. I've only had my camera for like 4 months at this point. This would be April of 2019, and we see an ethanol just coming in at the yard office, crew changing, and it's a nice Thunder Cab styled M-2 here. And this would be a U712. I like to say that this was going down to Memphis on the Union Pacific, and I've yet to see one of these.
Painted on the nose too.
Yes, it does. It does. And if you can see in the background, that's a rebuilt GP9 GT right there. Those are nice to catch.
Yes. With a faded blue door on it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Those are always nice to see. Okay. And now, of course, we're at the famous tunnel shot. And this is the same shot of that ethanol I caught in Masonville a little ways back. You can see the vehicle popping out of the tunnel.
Yep. We're in East Dubuque now, getting ready to jump onto the BNSF.
Yep, for about 15 miles or so until they hit Portage, which is pretty much Galena.
Yep.
Okay, and now we have moved down to the Cedar Rapids Sub of the CN, and this would be at Ryan at that trestle, wooden trestle, and this is about a quarter mile north of the town. And this would be an X337 with a BNSF Gevo leading, which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Nothing too rare, but you don't see them down here too often.
It's tough to get any sort of daylight on these moves on the Cedar Rapids Sub, except for in the very middle of the summer, too. The way they operate now.
Yeah, you'll get lucky to have a southbound runner in daylight nowadays. And this would be the same location. And this was one of those lucky daylight runners, southbound. This would be an extra L563, believe June of last year. Early June. And now, where is this? I believe this is between Ryan and Coggin, closer to Ryan. And they've replaced this bridge over the past 4 years. It's been at least 4 years since they replaced it. It used to be a nice wooden bridge shot, but alas,
yes, now it's
no longer.
Concrete and steel structure.
Yeah, and this would be the CN 1501 track evaluation Bud car, which was a neat thing to catch. And you can see there's a nice bonfire going in the background. You can see that.
Yes, there is. This CN evaluation car, it's made trips across the CN and across the Iowa Interstate as well.
Yeah, in fact, it was here a few days ago, I believe. Last Saturday, if I can remember correctly.
Yep.
And since I caught this, it was unfortunately tagged up in Champaign, Illinois, and has yet to be cleaned off, this thing. So I did not go for it this time. Okay. This is the same extra local that you saw a little bit ago, but now we are just south of Coggin. I believe I actually wrote down the road. Yes, this would be Hutcherson Road, just south of Coggin, June of last year again.
Yep, continuing to make his way towards Cedar Rapids.
Yes, and I like the little water tower in the right side of the shot. This is one of my favorite shots on the CR line, I would say. Okay, and now we're coming into Central City here at what is still a wooden bridge, but it's all tagged up, unfortunately. Class of 2020. But no, this would be an X337 southbound, January of this year, and these trains come out of Waukesha, Wisconsin. No, not Waukesha. Sorry, Fond du Lac. Excuse me. And I would assume the potash comes out of Canada, but I'm not sure.
It's likely, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on the east side of Central City here. This is the highway that goes east out of Central City underneath.
Correct. Yes. I can't think of the road name, but yes, that is correct.
Yeah, it's a county road of some sort. Yep.
Yep. Yep. And then this is that same day where I caught the track evaluation car, and this would be crossing over the Wapsie here at Central City.
That's right.
And it's the nice little river bridge here. And this is the only shot I have of the bridge. Or I get one of the only shots, I should correct myself. But yeah, we were shooting off of the road bridge just west.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. And now we're about a quarter mile south of the bridge here, going past the fairgrounds here. This is another extra local going south, and this was February 27th of this year, and the snow is definitely beginning to melt. This was a cooler day, probably in the 40s this day.
Okay.
So it was not too cold, but since the snow was so deep, there was still plenty of it.
Right.
Okay, and now we've got that Geo train that I mentioned earlier, and this is it running north on the CR sub. This is on Central City Road, just west of Central City by about a mile. And they had to run, of course, Longwood forward northbound, since there's no Ys in downtown.
Right, you have to go up to
Rapids.
Manchester to turn around the Y. Yep.
Yep, which they had a hard time doing for whatever reason.
They had to
But that
practice
was-
a couple times.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. And now this would be another extra local, and this was L567 this time. And this guy came out of Waterloo, which is odd. It does not happen too often, but yeah, this guy came out of Waterloo, and this was March 28th of this year, so not even a month ago. And this would be Marion Road, about a mile or two north of Alburnett. And now we're here in Alburnett with a train going through. I tried to get a nice, sort of exposure of them going through town, but unfortunately I couldn't fix my settings in time and they came through too quick and it didn't turn out. But I got a nice little shot of the cars going through town and I decided to put it in. I don't know, I like this shot.
The open exposure shots are always, it's tough. That's for sure.
It is. I still have yet to attempt something like this again, but yeah. Okay, this is pretty much the same location, except like a few feet south at the next road crossing, and this would be that same 563 from last year coming through Alburnett, and they were crawling for some reason on this day. They were going like 5 miles an hour through here for whatever reason. Okay, and here we can see the X337 that we saw in Central City, and funny enough, this guy had a DPU at the end, which I've only seen ever once on this line, and that was like 6 years ago. And this is
Oh, sorry. I skipped.
oh no, I was just saying no, you're good. I was just saying that was 6 years ago, and finally got another one, and this would be at Gilmore Road, just south of Alburnett.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, we're good. And
Now
this
you
is
can
the
talk about
same.
this slide.
Yeah, and this is the same road except facing, I guess, southwest. And this is a local going north with a nice SD4A-2 leader, as you can see, former Illinois Central, with the nose light there, which is pretty rare for them.
You know, one of the things about the Cedar Rapids sub is that if you get a daylight run, you can literally, because of the way the track twists and turns around, you can get just about any angle of any direction that you want to get with any sunlight. It's amazing how many different perspectives you can get just from this one 40 or so miles of track.
Yeah, and the northbound run of the local is usually out of here by 6. So that's a daylight runner, at least during the long days of the year. So that's good. Okay, and now we are at pretty much County Home Road, but I am shooting off of Troy Road, and the train is just about to blow over the crossing. And this would be, I don't know, this is like an old barn, but I really like the look of it. Yep. So I shot kind of a nice silhouette here, and I'm glad I did, because the windstorm last year blew that metal thing on top of it off. So now it's, and a lot of the roof as well. So now it's kind of just a barren shot, unfortunately. Yeah. But I'm glad I shot this, that's for sure. This was late May of last year for this shot.
Is that an SD40 leader also?
That would be an SD60.
SD60,
yeah, followed by an SD75i, I believe. Okay, and this is actually funny enough. I believe this is the same lash up, except the 75i is leading now. This was a few weeks later in June, and this is Robbins, Iowa, about a mile or two south of the previous shot. And this day, they sat here for a good hour because some foamers called in something smoking on the end of the train. It was not me, that's for sure. There was some foamers. Yeah, some foamers in, I guess it was Hiawatha. That's what we heard on the scanner. So, but yeah, and there was nothing wrong with the train. I have no idea what that was all about. But yeah, they sat here for a good hour on that day.
Yeah, and then there's the welded rail there in the front foreground too. The Cedar Rapids Sub has all new welded rail laid out along the track.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if they've installed it yet. I really don't know. I haven't been to Robbins for quite some time. But yeah, I would assume it's still sitting there. Okay, and now we are at Hiawatha at Center Point Road, which is the grade coming out of the valley here, which they were crawling through town here, and it had a nice GT leader, which is surprising for this line. And this was the day of that huge hailstorm, April 7th of last year, and some of those cars in the background had glass shattered. It was that, and you can actually, if you could see those small little pellets on the grass, those white pellets, that's the hail. That's how big they were. Yeah, and that's the storm going east. It was a really nice little golden shot there. Yeah, that's what I was kind of aiming for. Okay, and now this would be the old stretch of the Milwaukee Road. Here, this would be off of Center Point, and this is an actual IC unit working down here, which is rare coming by nowadays. This would be a GP40, March of last year, and they're working the paperworks there.
Yeah, you can actually see there in the background because I don't know, probably in 2016 or so, they picked up the Milwaukee between Blair's Ferry and Council Street. And now this is all that's left of this little stub by Louisa.
Yes, correct. That was probably about 2014 or 15. I can't remember. But
it was earlier than that, yeah.
I think it was earlier, but I can't exactly remember, honestly.
But yes, that green sign back there is right by Council Street, where the crossing got taken out of the highway.
Yep, that is correct. And now we're at 42nd Street in Cedar Rapids, and this is that same extra train out of Fond du Lac, and this is the DPU that I'm shooting. We are facing south here, and this is about 2 miles from the yard entrance here. At 42nd. And now this is the last crossing on the CR line before they hit the yard here at H Avenue. And this is late December shot in 2019. And this had a nice Canadian cab SD40 leading, which are always nice to see down here.
I like the class lights on these. I just find it to be so fascinating, all the different styles that the CN has of class lights, and these are probably the most unique.
I would, yeah, I would agree. And some of them don't even have them anymore, if I'm remembering correct. I don't think all of them have them. They kind of just seem to be on some and off some. Okay, and now this would be the local working the old Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and Northern trackage there at downtown. And this is working another paperworks. And this would be February of this year with that ST60 working.
That's Interstate 380 over on your right, and then the
Correct.
The island
Correct.
is behind you. The Cedar Lake and the island with the yard is behind you.
Yes, the yard is just right behind me. Correct. Okay. And now this is also working former Milwaukee Road rails. And this would be the stretch of Milwaukee Road between Indian Creek and the yard there at downtown. And it would eventually go down to Ottumwa, Iowa. But this is also former Milwaukee Road. And they're working what they call Treehouse. At least that's what I hear them call it on the scanner. It's the old Ralston Foods there near Cole College.
There's I don't know, there's less than a mile of track there that, yes, it extends up from downtown to get to that one industry.
Yes, correct. This is also March of last year. Okay. This is, I believe, February of this year, and for like a couple days, we had 2 Jeeps down here, wide cab Jeeps, which is interesting because we don't usually get 6-axle power down here anymore. But yeah, these guys happened to come down, and I shot them in the yard working. And if you could see, the sun actually came out for that shot. It was a cloudy day, but a pop of sun came out just for me.
Just a little bit of sunlight for that one shot.
Yeah. Okay, and now this is another local working. This would be the UP interchange here down at Quaker Oats. And this would be last year in June. And it's the Lone 60 working the UP yard there, which it looks like some Cargill hopper or tank cars. Okay, so that was it for the CN in Iowa. And now I'm gonna, I suppose, move on to the Iowa Northern that runs north out of Cedar Rapids. And this would be Mount Auburn, Iowa. I think that's how you pronounce it. Not sure, but Mount Auburn, yes. And looking down at this gravel road, and that would be the highway going south there, eventually goes into Vinton. And this would be a south job on Thanksgiving of 2019, which they happened to run late on this day. And yeah, I don't know why. I would imagine probably because of the holiday, but I'm not sure.
It must have snowed further north too. It
did, yes. This was probably a north job set of power, and it just came straight to the south job. That's my guess. Okay, and now this is February of this year with the plow extra that everyone shot running down, and they had just met the south job in Vinton about half an hour prior, and then they had finally gotten rolling here past this old stone bridge just south of Vinton.
The Rock Island Stone Bridge, massively overbuilt for what it's designed to do, yes.
Yeah, and there were a few Bill Kuba shots here, weren't there? I think he shot here before. That's why I really like this bridge. Okay, and then here's that north job that they met, or south job that they met, and it had a former Amtrak F40 leader, and it was a dandy on this day. It was about probably -10 out, maybe with the wind chill -15, but it was worth it. And it was snowing in this shot pretty good.
Yep.
And you can see the old Rock Island searchlight right there, which makes this a really neat shot.
Is this up in this is north of Vinton now?
This is just south of Vinton.
Just south of Vinton. Okay.
I might have written down the road, but I'm not sure. 458. This is 27th Avenue.
Okay.
Just south of Vinton. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, and now we've got another south job rolling northbound out of Palo, and there's nothing particularly special about this shot, but I wanted to include it because this is the only shot I have of the nuke plant still operating, because they've since closed it down, unfortunately. And
Yep. It is decommissioned.
Correct. The structure is still there. It is yet to be demolished, but no more steam coming out of the plant, unfortunately. And this is an extra working the nuke spur, and this is after they've shut down the plant, I believe.
Yeah, the Iowa Northern was storing hoppers here for a while. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, this is in October of 2019. It was actually sunny on this day, so I got a actually sunlit shot. And this is another train working the nuke spur, and they are all the way out on the main line here in Palo, coming up to one of the road crossings here at Palo. And to note, this GMTX unit is no longer on the Iowa Northern property anymore. About a couple of years ago, they leased 4 of these guys for, I guess, extra traffic that they were having, and they have since returned them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't last very long. Certainly not long enough to get repainted.
No, they were on the property for about a year, I believe. Okay, and this would be the last road crossing just south of Palo, and you can see that's the old code line there, still intact at Palo, which I tried to frame in the shot kind of nicely there. And I like this location a lot.
Yeah, and then the high voltage suspension wires on the right side.
Yeah, and I unintentionally framed those in too. I didn't want to, but you know, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah. Okay, this would be that same south job from Mount Auburn on Thanksgiving of 2019, and this is shooting off the Edgewood Road Bridge with that nice curve there, really wide curve.
Yep. The north yard is just out of sight beyond the end of that train if you went around that curve a little further.
Yeah, the north yard spur starts about a mile east of this location, and that is the Cedar River, of course, in the background. Okay, this is downtown Cedar Rapids, around the Nubo area, and this would be light power going northbound, just exiting the CIC property there and about to cross onto the UP trackage.
Yep.
And this would be light power after dropping off a grain train at ADM. May 2020. Okay, and now this is interesting because this will be a UP Job 53, which is the yard job that runs between Beverly and North Yard. And these were 2 former Milwaukee Road SD 38-2s. And the Northern took them after this, and they tested them for GMTX for a solid half year, I'd say. They never led, but they tested them. I don't know what they were doing with it, but yeah. And then now they're up in Canada doing whatever up there.
Yep, they went on to a different leaser, I think, up in Canada.
Yes, correct. Okay. And now this would be another shot of Job 53, except this is in March of this year with the 2 SD40s up front. And you can see there's a nice cutted deers in this train.
Yeah.
And
those tractors come out of Waterloo, the tractor works, and they get interchanged off the Iowa Northern.
Yeah, the John Deere plant up there. And this would be the former passenger main line of the C&W that came into Cedar Rapids, and now it's reduced to a 10-mile-an-hour stick track for this job.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this guy is heading toward Beverly, away from downtown.
Correct. Yeah, they're about a couple miles from Beverly Yard at this point, shooting out the 16th Avenue Bridge. And then there's the same bridge, except I'm shooting track side now with the nice code line right there. And this is a few days before the previous shot. and it's with the same lash up.
Yep.
And here's that plow extra from earlier, and they were running down to the Iowa, or I guess I should say the Crandic line that runs between South Amana and Fairfax to run the Jordan spreader on it, because there was plenty of snow drifts south of Walford that they needed to deal with, and the sun peeped out ever so slightly here for a nice golden hour shot, which I appreciated.
Yep, some of that trackage with the fills there around Walford, it can fill in with snow, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was pretty filled in. Hey, okay, and now we're here in downtown Walford pretty much, and this would be a Prairie Creek coal train with that BNSF power there. And the BNSF stole this contract from the Union Pacific in probably about 2018, 2019, if I can remember correctly. And now you get these BNSF coal trains running up the interstate.
Yeah, they get interchanged at Council Bluffs to go to the Iowa Interstate and then go to Cedar Rapids.
Correct, yes. And these run probably a few times a month, give or take. This is pretty much the same location, except the crossing just south of the previous. And this is an extra CR job from earlier this year, I believe, January. And this was probably one of the coldest days of the year, if I can remember correctly. It was cold, but really nice lighting. So, it's a valiant sacrifice. Okay, we've got another coal train, and this time it's climbing the Walford Hill here, just south of Walford by about a mile, and this will be the DPU of this coal train. This was January of this year. And then there's the head end of the same train. And you get to note the second unit is a former BN SD70 Mac, still on the BN paint.
Yeah, the executive BN paint, yes.
Correct, yes. It's not as shiny as they used to be, but still neat to see.
Still a rare catch for sure in 2021. That's a rare catch.
Yeah, and hardly any of them lead anymore due to not having PTC, unfortunately. But yeah, still neat to catch.
He's working pretty hard right there, topping the hill there at Walford.
They were loud, very loud. Okay, now we're here at Yoakum, and this would be the normal CRSA turn, and it had 513 leading for like the first time since I can't even remember, since it's been up in CR. But yeah, this is the Yoakum Y switch, and they are gonna head east for a couple miles, and then they're gonna back their train up into the yard for SI to take east later in the day.
Yep. Little Rock Island heritage right there.
Yeah, going off the Milwaukee and onto the Rock. Yeah. Okay. So now, of course, we're here at West Liberty getting the morning eastbound. And I'm very glad I got this because now this train does not run in the mornings anymore. So you'd be lucky to get a morning train through here nowadays. And this was February 27th of this year, just as the snow was melting.
Yep. It's a very nice museum inside that depot if anyone ever is in the area. I think you have to call and talk to them, like make an appointment, but they've got a lot of good stuff inside that restored depot.
Yeah, I've personally never been in there, but someday I will, I suppose. Okay, now this is in the eastbound train at Downey, Iowa. And the reason it has this NS power is because the CVBI combined with a DMPE NS grain train that used to run on this line. But now this is impossible to get because the contract moved over to the BN and they run trains north out of St. Louis to get to Des Moines nowadays. So this is an impossible thing to get, unfortunately.
And for quite a while, the NS was using the Iowa Interstate also just to shuttle power into Des Moines as well.
Correct, and I believe they still do that occasionally. Yeah, they still shuffle power occasionally, I believe. And now we're here at the Iowa City Bridge over the Cedar River. And this would be the westbound SISA. I'm sorry. This is the December 26th of last year. So I'm assuming, I believe they did not run the day previous, and they ran in pretty good light. So I decided to go down and shoot it. And it was a nice Jeep leader instead of a Jevo, which was also nice.
You can see the Krandik going underneath the bridge there in the background as well.
Yeah, correct. That would have made for a really nice meet if the Krandik ran. This is the same train, except west of Iowa City now. This is approaching downtown Oxford at that nice long S-curve there. But the train today was not long enough for that, unfortunately. They were only about 30 cars this day. And this is the same train again, except now they have pulled into South Amana and tied their train down here for the day. Okay, and now we're on kind of the west end of the Iowa City sub I believe this is a Newton sub, I'm sorry. We're on the Newton sub now, and this would be an eastbound Kansas City Southern grain train that would be working Kellogg and Brooklyn, I believe, or Malcolm, I apologize, Malcolm. And it had a nice gray ghost at the lead here. This would be April of this year, early April.
Yeah, the Iowa Interstate has contract with a couple of those elevators to load out grain trains.
Correct. And now here we are at Kellogg of the same train, and they dropped a good cut of them here. I'd say about 30, and then they had about 20 left to drop at Malcolm. This is them departing Kellogg. Okay, and now this would be March 21st of 2019, and this, of course, would be the first of the flood detours from the insane flooding of 2019 of the Missouri River, and it completely ruined the BN out there for a couple weeks at least.
Yeah, the BN lost their track at Oreapolis, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it'd be Oreapolis and I believe Plattsmouth along the river there. It completely washed out. So a lot of BN detours came through here without Union Pacific leaders, surprisingly enough. But this shot here is just west of Lisbon, as you can see in the background. Those are the Lisbon grain elevators there.
Yes.
Amtrak number 5, I believe.
And just so that, for anyone that's not aware, these Union Pacific leaders get used because the UP has a cab signal system that in order to operate at track speed, they have to have cab signals, which the Amtrak power does not.
Correct. But with the BNSF detours, the FRA gave them a grant to run without them for, I believe it was like a week or so. So we actually got foreign leaders up here, which was a treat. Okay, this would be March 9th of last year, and this is at Bertram at the nice curve there coming into town. And this is the last C&W patch that's left on the UP.
Yes.
And this was a nice catch here. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the logo up front anymore, but it's still a neat catch. Correct. Yeah, they installed PTC, and it could lead on this line. Okay, and now this is the last detour that ran through here. This is late March of 2019, and it was just sitting here at Indian Creek, the Indian Creek Nature Preserve here, just east of Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, this is Otis Road where you're sitting along.
Yeah, this would be in Michigan coal train. I can't remember the name of the town, but this is a Michigan-bound one. And this is the DPU on that train, and it was a nice executive Mac. And if I had the guts, I would have walked down there and got a nice noselet shot of it, which I kind of regret, but what can you do? Well, I got this shot instead.
We never make fun of people for not trespassing.
That's true. That's true.
Not something we should never encourage trespassing.
Yeah, but this was a nice catch here. And this is also, as you can see, that coal train there is one of the detours. And then this westbound here, this is at Beverly, Iowa, or not Iowa, just the yard there, crossing under the 30 overpass. We actually got a CSX leader through here on a UP ethanol, which I thought was interesting.
Yep. They took full advantage of that waiver while it existed.
Yeah, and I don't know if they were supposed to do that or not, but, you know, it happened. It happened. Okay, now we're here at Fairfax, Iowa, and this is the KD Heritage Unit going east last year, April of last year. This would be, I believe this was an NPCH manifest. This would have worked Beverly.
With the KD unit.
Yes. Okay, now we're here at pretty much the southmost part of Iowa in Keokuk, and this would be the Keokuk Junction Railroad, all smoking up with these old Jeeps that they have, which I really like. These are former Santa Fe Jeeps. As you can see with the trailing one, it's still in Santa Fe paint.
Yep, working in front of the former Rock Island Depot, newly restored.
That's Rock Island? Oh. Oh yeah, the rockets went through there. That was Rock Island? Huh.
Yep.
That's interesting. I would have figured it would be a CB&Q depot, but interesting. Oh yeah, the Rock Island KO line. That's right.
KD line.
Or
yep.
KD. Yes, KD. Yeah.
Keokuk to Des Moines line. Yep, that's right.
Yep, that's right. That's a neat depot there. And now this is on the Illinois side of things, and they have just crossed the really old bridge there. They were going like 2 miles an hour over. We easily made it to the other side, even with traffic lights. And it's an old train/road bridge, as you can see, with the old cutout road there. This is a really neat shot. This is Hamilton, Illinois. And now we're here at Weaver, Iowa, on the BNSF-K line, or the Hannibal subdivision, as you'd call it. And this is the, I can't think of the name. I believe this is the Skunk River Bridge, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember, for the love of me, I cannot think of the river name. I think it's the Skunk.
I think you got the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's the Skunk River Bridge. And I unintentionally got nice blur of the train going by with everything else in focus, which I really like. I didn't even intend to do that. But yeah, this would be a deadhead move of city rail Jeeps going to St. Louis, returning to Leesor, I believe.
Yeah, there were 3 or 4 of these moves that went through.
Correct. This would be the third move of them. And then the fourth one, I don't think anyone caught for whatever reason. And now we're about 10 miles north of the previous shot. This is downtown Burlington, of course, going past the yards there. And it's a pretty clustered shot, but I figured I'd put it in, as you can see all of Burlington there. And there's a lot of, I guess, old rails in the background. So it's still a neat shot.
Yeah, and just a whole mess of those city rail units going back off lease.
Yeah, correct. Okay, now this is CP 475 working the Muscatine yard, just south of Muscatine. And this would be the SP patch leading. This would be August 9th of last year. And this is the last SP patch with the logo still intact, which is the only reason I went down for it. This is a neat catch.
I mean, it's kind of intact. You can see they put the UP shield on the door.
Yeah, but I guess he didn't want to put it in front for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, really too much trouble to center it. Just put it on the door.
I guess so. Okay, now this would be a good 30 miles north of Muscatine at Pleasant Valley on the CP, and this would be the BN Clinton local heading south out of Clinton for the day. And it had a BN painted motor this day with what am I saying? A former GP30 which is a nice catch nowadays.
Yes.
Even with all the PTC antennas up front, still
It does look
catch.
kind of like a mess. And then with that
Yeah.
high top on the Jeep 30, it really makes it for a bizarre profile.
Yeah, they look like antlers.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we're here in Clinton, Iowa. And this would be a UP spur, just I'd say like northwest of the yards there in Clinton. And this is working a few industries on this little spur, and they also work that elevator in the background there. But this is the only time I've ever seen anything working here, which was neat to see.
Yep. What are the call it, the Comanche Switcher? I mean, they've got a job down there that.
I think it's Job 69. That's what they kept calling as.
Yeah.
So I believe it's Job 69. And of course, this is shooting off the Clinton Bridge here over the Mississippi, which I think is getting replaced at some point, but I have no idea.
It is. They've got a longer term plan. They're gonna put in a new bridge. It's gonna be higher up and take out the swing span.
Yeah, which is gonna be, interesting to see, obviously, at some point. But
they're gonna go over the top of the Canadian Pacific too, take out the interlocking at 5th Street.
Correct. I believe that's their plan. Yes, and those are some old CNW lights they put in the 90s, which is also neat to see. And of course, this is the same bridge on the same day. This was early March of this year. You can still see the ice chunks breaking up on the river there. And this is a westbound empty coal train. And even though it's backlit, I wanted to get a nice silhouette shot of a train going over the bridge. And I liked how it turned out here. Still pretty cool shot.
Yeah. So were you standing out on the ice, or did you actually just zoom in for this?
Oh, I was standing on the rocks there. There's no way I'd go out on the ice.
Not that brave?
No. Okay, and this would be the CP B61 or 68. I can't exactly remember. I'm all of a sudden forgetting the ID, but that's besides the point. This day, it had a Sioux Line Jeep leading, which was really neat to see. This was November 29th of last year, and this is on the street running there at Roosevelt Avenue in Clinton.
Yep.
And this is about a mile or two north of there, and I'm standing on the floodgates that closes obviously for floods, and this is the same train except about a little earlier in the day.
Yeah, this is what's called the Lions sighting. And
Really?
Yeah, they store cars up there for the ADM plant that's downtown.
Yeah, they have a few sightings for that, I've noticed.
Yep. Here and up in Savannah too. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and then here's one more shot of that train, and this is coming out of Savannah, Illinois, and I'm sitting on the other side of the river at Sibila at the bridge there. And something.
Yeah, you're looking out toward the island, toward the east.
Yes. And if only it was about an hour later, the whole thing would have been lit. But I'll take what I can get.
Yep.
And of course, this is the Sibila Bridge, and this would be a B-38 shoving into the Savannah yards there.
Okay.
This would be last year on the last day of the year, and the river is nicely frozen over at this point.
It'd be a long, cold shove.
Yes, it would.
Have to ride that on the point of the rear car.
Yeah, he went past us, and he didn't look happy. I don't know how happy I'd be going over that bridge. And now we're here at Bellevue, obviously, going through the street running. This is the same train, except going through Bellevue about an hour earlier. And we came here specifically to shoot a train going past the Christmas lights here, but they were not on, unfortunately, during the day. But it was still a neat shot with the snow and everything in the background.
That's the trade-off, right? You can only get the Christmas lights at night, but then the night photography makes its own problems.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of night photography myself, but yeah. Okay, this would actually be just south of Bellevue here. And this is a weed spreader train in 2019, sometime in the summer. And for some reason, they used a Ferromex Jeep for this. I could not tell you why, but this train ran all over the CP in the US in 2019. And this is just south of Bellevue at that graveyard there.
Yep.
But I couldn't tell you why this thing was here, but I'll take it, that's for sure.
I'll tell you, if you hadn't showed me this picture, I would have told you you're a liar saying that the CP sprays for weeds. So.
Oh, oh God, yeah. And now we're here at the Highway 61 bridge here, or 61, I believe it's 61.
52,
bridge here.
US 52.
Or 52. Yep, 52. You're right. Shooting off the 52 bridge here in Bellevue. This is March 20th of this year. And this is another B-38 with an SD-60 second out. Of course, with the GE leading.
Of course. Going through Bellevue again. Potter's Mill just out of the corner.
Yep. I probably should have shot that in it, but I had my long lens on and I left my short lens in the truck, which was already down that street in the background. So I was not going to walk for that.
Yep.
I'm too lazy for that. Okay. This is early March of 2019, and this is on the BNSF Aurora sub, just east of East Dubuque. And this would be a coal detour, obviously because of all the flooding. And this is, I believe, Havana, Illinois empty with that JE car in the background, I believe. Not the best shot in the world, but, you know, it's still neat to see coal trains on this line. Okay, this would be March 20th of this year with an Eola Northtown manifest with a freshly installed PTC war bonnet there. Or I guess what people call fake bonnet, but, you know, it's in the Santa Fe war bonnet paint.
This is definitely a fake bonnet, but yes, I take your meaning.
Yeah, I call them war bonnets, but whatever. I don't care. It's still a nice thing to see nowadays.
Yeah, just like finding those patch CNW units. They're pretty hard to come by.
Yeah. Okay, this would be in East Dubuque of 2019, May of 2019, I believe. And somehow this double beagle BNSF grain train made it out of Chicago without sticking a BNSF leader up front, which I still don't understand. But this was a very rare find.
Yeah, especially now that rail barns on the head end.
Yeah, and even though this might look like a CN train coming into Iowa, this is not. This is a BNSF train going through East Dubuque. So it would keep going north after this.
Someday somebody's going to have to explain to me how those ended up with 2 sets of ditch lights on them.
I believe because of the hard winters in British Columbia. I don't know. That's the only guess I have. And of course with those loud horns too, they can hear from like 20 miles away.
Yes. But yeah, going westbound through East Dubuque here.
Yes, westbound. Okay, and here we have the same SP patch here in North Dubuque. There, if you can see, there's an ethanol train in the siding there that they're meeting. This would be a B39, and that CP Givo in the background is the leader, and this the power is backing into this cut of grain cars, as you can see. And I actually got a nice little sunlit shot of the nose, which was nice, shooting off the overpass here at the north end of the yard in Dubuque.
Yeah, you're on Fengler Street overpass.
Correct. Yes.
And then the power's on the main line. The hoppers are on 19 track. He's going back in to get those.
Okay. Yeah, and that ethanol had CSX for power, if I can remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay, so this this might look bad, and it is, but this was my early days of taking pictures. This was in, I believe, 2015, and I took this with my video camera. And the only reason I'm including it is because it's a Top Hat -9, which have all been removed, or I guess rebuilt by the NS. So this is an impossible catch. So I figured I'd put it in. Just because.
Yeah, it looks
I believe
a
this
little
is
overly colorized, but you know.
Yeah, there wasn't much I can do. It was incredibly terrible, but I believe this was a 477. They were still running those at that point at Nahant to Mason City train.
Yep.
And then this is a westbound coming out of Marquette, Iowa, on the Marquette sub, or on the Mason City sub. And they are about a mile west coming out of the yard there. And this would be the Bloody Run State Park in full fall colors here.
Oh, yeah.
And the BNSF Gevo actually matches with it. This would be I believe it was a B37 westbound on the Mason City sub.
Yeah, we were up for an Iowa chapter meet last October in Marquette, and it was beautiful out that day too. Lots of fall colors.
Funny enough, this is actually the same day, and I happened to be in the area, but I completely forgot about that.
Nice.
So I did, and I realized too late, so I decided to shoot this train instead. And never mind. I couldn't. I was thinking of something, but this is the same train, except pretty much out of the valley at this point, approaching, what is that town?
Monona. You're getting close to Monona.
Yes. This is about a mile or two west of the Spook Caves there, coming out of the river valley.
Yeah, you're more than a mile
with
or
that
two
nice
west.
farm in the background.
You're almost up on top of the hill here.
Yeah, Spook Cave is probably about halfway in between, I would say, the yards and the top.
Yep.
I think this is my last shot. Yeah.
This is the end of the program. Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you for your patience and coming back to record this with us a week later.
Yeah. And I did that all without drinking water. Halfway through, I realized I didn't have any water with me, and my voice, it's dry.
Well, don't worry about it.
Guess that's a beginner's mistake there.
So, next month, we're going to have Dave Kroger on here. It's going to be another pre-recorded show. And people need to remember to sign up for the Iowa Chapter Nevada 24-hour meet, which is going to be May 14th and 15th. And then we also have a Grand Mound Depot Day coming up on June 20... Let me just check here. 6th. June 26th, which will be the Grand Mound Depot Day. So 2 great events coming up that people should definitely look at trying to check out. The next one being that Iowa Chapter meet. It's going to be at the Nevada Baptist Church on West 3rd Street on May 14th and 15th. So, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Sam, for being gracious enough to come back and present with us again after last week's fiasco.
Yep, no problem. No problem at all.
Yep, and that'll be it for us. We're going to sign off for the month of April. Thank you.